I could only watch in stunned silence as she tumbled down the stairs with incredible force. It was so sudden that I couldn't even raise my voice. My mother, with feigned innocence, spoke to me.
"Oh, I'm getting old. Slipped on the stairs. Whoops. But oh dear, falling down like that, the baby's gone for sure. Well, that's what you get for talking to me like that. Divine punishment, perhaps. Oh boy. I wish that daughter-in-law would just go away with the baby. Bye-bye with the baby,"
She said, waving her hand lightly. Does this woman even realize what she's done? Because she just pushed down. My name is Ethan. I'm a 28-year-old real estate salesman. There was a time when people said that real estate wouldn't sell in a declining population, but the rich, seeing it as an investment, kept pouring money into luxury condos, so the market is still booming. And I deal exclusively in luxury high-rises and million-dollar properties, doing quite well. Thanks to shared hobbies, my relationship with my wife, Laura, whom I married last year, is great. Good income, no family issues, like a picture-perfect happy life. You'd think someone might warn me that one day my life could come crashing down. And indeed, something like that happened quite recently. All because of my mother, or as Laura would say, my mother-in-law. My mother left when I was little, around the time I was 5, and my parents were just 22. She was quite the beauty, always surrounded by admiring men. She was always the center of attention among men, and that became her normal life. Amidst this, my father was the one who won her over. He proposed passionately multiple times until she finally gave in. For my dad, it must have been the pinnacle of happiness. Marrying a woman everyone envied. They were supposed to build a happy home together, but it didn't work out. My mom couldn't stand the modest life with my dad. Maybe it was inevitable. She was used to having men at her beck and call, getting whatever she wanted. But after marriage, she was stuck at home with chores and child care. So, it might have been natural for her to take the household money and run off with some stranger. Life was tough for my dad after that. Left alone without money, and with a young me to raise, he still managed to get me through college. I can't thank him enough for that. So, after graduating, I immediately got a job and worked like mad. I wanted to repay him, to give him an easier life. My hard work paid off quickly at the real estate firm I joined, even breaking the company's annual sales records. But just when I thought I could finally give back to him, he left this world. What a tragic life he led. I resented my mom for leaving back then, but at the same time, I wanted to see her, my only remaining parent. Even though we were legally strangers now. Years later, after I married my wife, Laura, my mom showed up. By then, I was a well-known salesman in the industry. I guess I got my looks from my beautiful mom, and I was often featured in real estate segments on TV and magazines. She must have seen me in one of those, and realized her son she abandoned was now doing well. So, she decided to come see me.
"I've missed you. What was your name again? Ken, right? You've grown into a fine man."
That was her first sentence when we met. I couldn't believe she'd forgotten her own son's name. But, with mixed feelings of resentment and longing, I was still happy to see her. "Mom, it's been so long. How are you? By the way, my name is Ethan, haha," I said, my heart full, barely holding back tears. But her next words made those tears quickly recede.
Right, Ethan, whatever. Hey, can you lend me some money? You're making a lot, right?"
She wasn't here to see me. She just came to ask for money. Realizing that, I was stunned. I feel like an idiot for having held back my tears and filled my heart with emotion earlier, thinking it was an emotional reunion. but she was still my only family. And she must have had her struggles too. So, I gave her money, just once, I thought. She even said, just this once, only this one time. Okay, Ethan, dear, I fell for it, thinking it was just once. But like in the comics, this once turned out to be many more times.
Hey, about your mom.
Finally, it had come to this. That's what I thought. Today, during the day, a lady claiming to be your mom came by. She said she was struggling and asked if we could lend her some money. She had a photo on her smartphone with you in it and seemed to know you, so I gave her the money. Was that okay? I never told my mom our address. In fact, I'd been avoiding her calls lately because she'd started asking for money more frequently. And now she's showing up at our house. How she found out where we live is beyond me and frankly, a bit scary, but right now, I'm more concerned about Laura. Sorry, I thought I had mentioned it before, but I actually have a mother I've been estranged from. She left when I was little for another man. To be honest, I don't really think of her as a mother, and lately, she's been coming around asking for money. I'm trying to keep my distance, even though she's my mom. I'm really sorry for not telling you. Laura forgave me immediately. She knew about my mom, so she understood the situation. As an apology, how about getting us tickets to the next wrestling match? She cheekily suggested that. Laura and I share a passion for wrestling. In fact, we met at a wrestling event. So, whenever I have something to apologize for, Laura quickly suggests making up for it with wrestling.
I get it, it's a tough situation. But I'd really like to meet your mom properly and celebrate the baby.
Laura said, touching her belly. She's carrying our child, almost 8 months pregnant now, and we're just talking about getting ready for the birth. That's why I don't want her to worry about my mom, especially now. If anything happened to Laura and our baby because of my mom, I couldn't bear it. I'm the only one who can protect my family. I need to talk to my mom about this. I had planned to, but it's hard to bring up. Maybe deep down, I still long for her. But if I had been more decisive back then, Laura and our baby wouldn't have gotten wrapped up in this mess. I feel like punching my old indecisive self. A few days later, we were at the clinic. We used to go to a small local clinic, but since they noticed something unusual with the baby, we came to a larger hospital for a detailed checkup. Fortunately, the tests showed the baby was fine, but we were advised to continue checkups here until the birth. As we were about to leave, my mom showed up. What a coincidence to run into my beloved child here. I had no idea how she found us, but I was taken aback. Mom, why are you here? What do you want?
How can you say that? I was so worried about my dear son going to the hospital. I just had to follow.
Her concern was probably not for me, but for my wallet. I thought to myself,
So, is something wrong with you? Do you have insurance? If you've been given a terminal diagnosis, make sure I'm the beneficiary, okay?
Laura, usually so gentle, snapped back.
Hey, how can you say that to your own son? Look, we're here not because of Ethan, but for a checkup for our baby. Don't you see this belly?
Then, as if noticing Laura for the first time, my mom nonchalantly said,
Oh, you're here. I have no business with a cold woman who won't give me money.
It's always money with you. That money Ethan worked hard for. What do you think it is? Our savings are for our baby who's about to be born. Even if you're Ethan's mom, there's not a penny left for you.
What's with this woman? Refusing to give money for a child. If that's how you feel, I have my plans too. You'll regret this later.
With those words, my mom left. Laura had spoken up for me, saying what I should have said. I was grateful and also a bit intimidated by her ferocity. But my mom's parting words gave me an ominous feeling. This is a crucial time for Laura and our baby. If my mom did something to them, I might never recover. I just hope nothing happens.
Really, there's always a mixture of good and bad.
Laura said, still seething. She was referring to the good part of our visit meeting her favorite wrestler, Maverick, at the hospital. Maverick was once a very popular female wrestler. I had wondered why she wasn't in matches or on TV much recently, but it turns out she was pregnant too. When we greeted her, Maverick's belly was already big, just a few days away from giving birth. I felt awkward for intruding at such an important time, but Laura was different. She was in front of a wrestler she was a huge fan of, and her admiration was overflowing. Laura couldn't contain herself and kept talking about how much she admired Maverick, her favorite moves, and detailed moments from specific matches. Maverick's husband, Ironclad, also a wrestler, could only give a wry smile. She listened to Laura's excited talk with kindness. Maverick, known for her heel roll in the ring, is actually a very compassionate and kind person in her everyday life. Laura was still buzzing about it on the way home. As a side note, Laura talked about Maverick so much that I dreamed of being chased by a demon in a Hanya mask. In fact, Maverick's hospital room was bustling with people, showing she was adored by her friends. The day had its bad moments, like the stalking incident with my mother, but meeting Maverick overshadowed it all. Laura and I agreed. We kept visiting Maverick's room every time we went to the hospital. She seems to be enduring Laura's endless fan talk. We had almost forgotten my mother's parting words. Little did we know, she would do something unthinkable. It happened as we were leaving the obstetrics clinic after visiting Maverick's room. Maverick had just made an unusual request to us, which we happily agreed to. But as we were descending the hospital stairs, with me supporting Laura, oopsie, slipped my hand. Oh no. Shockingly, it was my mother, who had pushed Maverick down the stairs. I was powerless, watching Maverick tumble down with such force, unable to even shout. My mother, feigning innocence, said,
"Oh, I'm getting old. Slipped on the stairs. Whoops. But oh dear, falling down like that, the baby's gone for sure. Well, that's what you get for talking to me like that. Divine punishment, perhaps. Oh boy. I wish that daughter-in-law would just go away with the baby. Bye-bye with the baby."
She said, waving her hand. Does this woman even realize what she's done? She just pushed down. Mom, she's not my wife.
What?
Ouch, damn it. What the hell do you think you're doing?
Roared a voice from the bottom of the stairs.
Who?
The one glaring at us with an intense gaze from the bottom of the stairs wasn't the usually gentle Laura, who becomes frightening when angry, but it was Maverick herself.
"I won't forgive you for this. I'll have you arrested. Or should I take care of you right here, huh?"
Maverick stood before my mother. Her expression is fierce. My mother was petrified.
I was just trying to scare my daughter-in-law. It was a prank. I didn't mean to push you down the stairs.
"You pushes their daughter-in-law down the stairs. I'll smack you, I swear."
Yikes, help, Ethan. We're family, right?
My mother begged for help, but Maverick cut me off.
"Listen here. Do you really call a woman who pushes her loved ones downstairs a mother? As a man, as a father, are you okay with this?"
Maverick winked at me. She knew everything. She understood and was guiding me. Even if she gave birth to me, she had crossed a line. Above all, I had a duty to protect my beloved wife and unborn child. I was sure my late father would forgive my next action. No, this woman is not my mother. We're not even related by registry. She's a complete stranger. Maverick burst out laughing. I thought how charming she can be when she's smiling.
Arrest her. She's caught red-handed. Get her to the police.
Suddenly, the people around us sprang into action. All familiar faces. Maverick and Ironclad's assistants. They knew all along. I was in awe of Maverick. A few days later, the tabloids were abuzz. Popular wrestler Maverick pushed downstairs by fan. After my mother was handed over to the police by the assistants, journalists from tabloids and TV shows swarmed in. A famous wrestler was attacked at the hospital. It was sensational, especially near the clinic. There was a panic about whether the Maverick had miscarried, but there was no need to worry. Maverick had already given birth to a healthy boy. That day, when we visited her room, she had just asked us for a favor. Maverick had just given birth and needed a few more days in the hospital. However, she was feeling restless and wanted to step outside. She asked Laura and me to switch places with her so she could discreetly leave the hospital. Laura immediately agreed to Maverick's request, before I could even say anything. So, at that time on the staircase, it wasn't Laura I was supporting, but Maverick. They both had similar hairstyles and builds, and Maverick had stuffed cushions around her waist to mimic a pregnant belly so she wouldn't be recognized. I wondered why she would go to such lengths, but it soon became clear. When my mother pushed Maverick down the stairs, Maverick, as a professional wrestler, used her skills to take the fall safely, using the cushion around her belly to protect herself. But why would Maverick go so far for us? We are just her fan. When I asked her, she told me this.
Actually, I was thinking of retiring from wrestling after having my child. I used to be quite popular, but I'm getting older, and the crowds aren't what they used to be. Then I met you and Laura. She's really amazing. She remembered all my matches, what she liked about each one, and her favorite moves. And more than anything, the way she talks about me, her eyes sparkles. That made me reconsidered. I have fans who think so much of me that retirement is nonsense. I'm so grateful to you. I owe you guys so much. I owe you so much that I couldn't repay you even if I spent my whole life. That's when it happened. Laura told me about your mother. My assistants overheard your mother planning something at the hospital. So, that day, I decided to put on a little act.
It seems we had given Maverick something too significant, all thanks to Laura's enthusiastic fandom. And there's one more thing I owe Maverick. For my mother's situation, after being turned over to the police and unable to deny the numerous testimonies, my mother was charged with assault. Thanks to Maverick, it wasn't a prison sentence, just a fine of about $5,000. I had no intention of paying that fine for her. Surprisingly, Maverick paid for it. Under one condition, my mother would work off her debt at Maverick's wrestling office, including living there. It's a tough environment surrounded by tough women with no lenient men to coddle her. It might be just the right kind of lesson for my mother. Cutting ties with the weird guy might lead to some improvements in her personality. As for me, everything's been going great at work and home, almost too good to be true. But there's one thing that's been bothering me. Ever since that incident, Laura's become even more obsessed with Maverick, to the point of wanting to name our newborn child Maverick. That's my current dilemma. I definitely need to talk to Maverick about persuading Laura not to, when we visit her next time. But that's the end of my story. I'll protect my family as a father from now on,